What's going on, guys? I'm with the Moose, and welcome back to another episode of Cheap Cuts, where I give you guys some great budget options in Madden 17 Ultimate Team. Should be a good episode today. Today we have wide receiver on tap, of course, and today we have three categories. The number one wide receiver, which is, of course, pretty much the most important wide receiver on your entire team. We also have a slot receiver category and deep threat category. Those are all going to be, have their little quirks. I'll kind of explain them as we go. But each has a 25K option and a under 75K option. So, if you have a little bit extra coins, you might want to go for that under 75K. And if you don't have a ton, but you still want a pretty good option, you can go for that under 25K. But without further ado, let's get into it. So first up, we're going to start with deep threat under 25K, and we're actually going to go with Tyreek Hill, 87 overall. Not quite, though. We are actually going with a different card. It's actually not this card. It is Tyreek Hill that we're going to go with. Well, let's take a look at him real quick. 87 overall with slot expert chemistry, 5'10", 93 speed. That's basically the key with the deep threat category that I made personally. Was speed, and also release 88 is pretty high, especially for kind of a lower overall card. And that's basically what I was kind of looking for: speed, jumping, release, spec catch a little bit, catching traffic kind of, but basically a lot of speed. I definitely wanted speed and release in there. That is going to be key for a a great deep threat receiver. Now, Tyreek Hill, this one is pretty good, and it's only 17K, which isn't too bad. And he does have slot expert, which is kind of nice to have, I suppose. But actually, the card we're going to be looking at is this Tyreek Hill, the halfback Tyreek Hill that came out in the Ultimate Freeze promo, only going for around 10K right now. Now, depending on when you're watching this video, this card might be more expensive, but in general, he's probably still going to be less expensive than that other card. Now, he's only an 86, so you're saying, what the hell, this card's worse. Why would I get this one? Now, one thing to note about this is you will not get the actual route runner chemistry if you use him as a wide receiver. So that's something to note. If you're trying to unlock chemistries and things like that, the other option is probably better. But if you're just going for a receiver, or maybe just a guy that you want to throw in on a random play every once in a while because he's fast, this card is perfect for it. As you can see, he has the same exact speed. He also has very, very similar stats as well. So let's take a look over here real quick and compare him real fast to what stats he has. So he's 86 catching. That's the exact same as the other card. Very nice to see that for sure. Let's see, jumping 89, the exact same as the other card. Elusiveness 90. That's actually 2 higher, which is pretty nice to have. A nice little bump there. Let's see if we can keep going with the other stats. If I can find them, actually. Spectacular catch 86, exact same. Route running 84, exact same. Catching traffic 83, exact same. So as you guys can see, 88 released, exact same. These cards are identical along the wide receiver lines, but this card actually is eligible to play at halfback, so you could rock him as like your third down running back and then switch him into a wide receiver role every once in a while. I like the versatility of this card a lot, and it's super cheap. 10K, you really can't argue with that, especially when the other one goes for 17K. But like I mentioned, you don't get the benefit of that route runner if you use him as a wide receiver. But if you use him as a running back, you can activate that chemistry, and then he'll still be good to go. So something to note, but only 10K. I use this card as a kick returner on my team. Definitely good for that as well. So pick him up. He's only 10K. No reason not to do it. For our under 75K option is going to be Corey Coleman, 91 overall, also from the Ultimate Freeze promo with deep threat chemistry, going for 52K on Xbox One. Should be very similar across PS4 as well. He has deep threat chemistry as well. Like I mentioned, or maybe I didn't mention it, chemistries don't entirely matter to me. I definitely want to maximize them when I use them, but I don't really pick a card based on the chemistry. I don't consider him a deep threat option because of that he has the deep threat chemistry. I consider him a deep threat option because of his stats. So let's take a look. 5'11", that's okay. Wish he was a little bit taller, but it's okay. It's all right. 92 speed, very fast. Also 93 spectacular catch. That's probably the second most important stat, along with release and speed. Those three stats right there, all high, or I shouldn't say high 90s, low 90s, 92 overall, 93, and 92. Those are very good stats. Also 90 jumping, 89 route running, really solid stats. This card is actually very, very good. It could even be a good number one as well if you guys want to substitute it for my recommendation later on. But overall, I think this card could be also a great deep threat, and he has the chemistry, which makes it nice to see. Now for our first slot receiver, of course, under 25,000 coins, we're going to go with this Doug Baldwin on the edge of that barrier between 25K and a little bit higher. It kind of depends on when you look whether or not he's going to be under 25K. Happens that he is under right now, but he's close enough generally. So let's take a look. 88 overall with route runner chemistry. That's a very solid chemistry to use with your wide receivers, in my opinion. He's 5'10", 88 speed, 90 catch. But what we're looking at here with a slot receiver is going to be route running and catching traffic. Those are my big stats. And also, I kind of want elusiveness a little bit, and maybe a douse of speed. Or a dose of speed, I should say. A little bit of speed. Very high route running, very high catching traffic, and a good amount of elusiveness as well. Elusiveness on wide receivers is hard to find. A guy like Tyreek Hill that I showed you earlier will have high elusiveness as well, but Doug Baldwin has the entire package. He's a solid receiver, has great route running and catching traffic for a card that's this cheap, and also has good speed. That's kind of what I want to look for in a slot receiver, a guy that's going to be catching slant passes, drag passes, stuff like, or drag routes, I should say, stuff like that. You want to get him in open field, get that elusiveness will be able to get him open, and that catching traffic and route running will help him actually make sure those routes are crisp, and that'll be able to catch the ball even if a guy is on him. For our under 75K slot receiver, it's going to be Tim Brown, under 55K, honestly, around 53,000 coins. A legend receiver, 92 overall, very high overall, and honestly, he fits perfectly in the slot role. He obviously has slot expert, which is kind of nice as well. But he is also 6 feet tall, 89 speed, 92 catch, 92 elusiveness, 92 route running, and 93 catch and traffic. Like I mentioned, that's kind of my trio. Elusiveness, route running, catch and traffic, and then if you have a little bit of speed, always helps. Never hurts to have some speed. Also 92 catching. Don't discount that actual catch stat. That is very good. This card is honestly very, very solid. I was going to put him as a wide receiver 1 option, which is the next category we're going to go to, but he's a little bit short for me. 6 feet tall is kind of, I would rather have that as like a number 2 or a slot receiver type option. So I think he's perfect for that role. He has amazing stats for a card that's this cheap, around 50K. You really can't beat it. And he's also 6 feet tall, which, like I said, is kind of better for the slot option, at least in my opinion. Obviously, it's up to you which way you want to go, but he is a very good receiver all around. Under 75K with an elite chemistry. Highly recommend this Tim Brown. Now for our number 1 wide receiver tier, under 25K, we're going to go with this Chris Conley milestone card. It's actually a milestone of a team hero, so his price probably will fluctuate. Not too many up, only 10 up right now, so it kind of depends on when you look. But only 21K right now, not too bad. 87 overall wide receiver with slot expert and deep threat chemistries. Always love to see 2 chemistries or more on a card. Always got to love that for sure. Very nice to see. 6'3", like I mentioned with Tim Brown, I want height in my number 1 wide receiver. That is pretty much the key to me. I mean, not the entire key. It's not the be-all, end-all if you're tall, but being tall absolutely helps. He has 6'3", 92 speed, also really fast. That's pretty high speed, especially for a guy that's 6'3". Now, the basically areas where he lags behind are elusiveness, which I don't care too much about on a wide receiver number 1. These guys are going to be catching streaks. They're going to be catching deep post routes and stuff like that. They're pretty much going to be, your aggressive catch guys. So I don't really care too much about elusiveness. Route running is a concern though. 80 route running, not that great. Now, if you're running on a thing like a streak, shouldn't be a big deal, but a thing like a post route might be kind of an issue with this card. So be aware of that. But the speed, the height, the jumping, and the catching traffic hopefully makes up for it. And I do think this card is actually pretty solid. Our under 75K option at wide receiver is actually going to be Paul Kraus, 92 overall, out of position card from Ultimate Freeze. As you guys can see, Ultimate Freeze gave us a lot of cards in this one that are actually pretty cheap and very good. He's only going for around 60K with chain mover chemistry and also, of course, freeze offense. Very good card, though. Highly recommend him. 6'3", just like Chris Conley. Very nice. But unlike Chris Conley, not as fast, but also unlike Chris Conley, he's very good in the other stats. Elusiveness 82, 88 route running, and all the other stats are extremely good. 93 catch and traffic is insane. That's a very, very good stat. This card is honestly very comparable to that Tim Brown I showed you guys before. A little bit worse than things like elusiveness and route running, but better in height. So it's kind of, pick your poison, which one you want more. But Paul Kraus is a very good number 1 wide receiver option. Now, at the end of all these videos, we always do a cheapest cut, and today, of course, is going to be BJJ Nelson. This card is not very good at all, I'll be completely honest, but it only goes for 300 coins, so you really can't expect too much. This is basically an option if you have, like, literally no coins. You just started playing Ultimate Team, and you need an okay wide receiver, somebody that you maybe can do something for you. This card might be able to do that for you. So he's got 92 speed. That's basically the only stat that's good. 81 catching, 84 jumping are okay. Everything else, pretty bad. 68 route running, terrible. 47 releases, horrendous, and so on. It's an okay card for a really, really early on player. If you just started, or like I said, if you're trying to make a team with like 10,000 coins, maybe this card could be good for you. Also could be a decent kick returner, so be aware of that. But in general, this cheapest cut is just generally for those guys that just started playing the game. But that will do it for the video, guys. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a like down below. And let me know if you think any of my guys were off. And of course, let me know what you think the next episode should be on. It should be on a defensive position, so be aware of that. We did middle linebacker and QB before this, so definitely check the links down below in the description for those as well. But thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you later.